G'day legends, g'day superstars, Peps and Jdog. We're here for the Gather Round review. It was a massive weekend of football, plenty of highs, and I can tell you, lots of lows, but we're all here to cover off the greatest sport in the world, AFL. I'm your host, Chris Pepper, the 377-game superstar of the East Killer Football Club. You know the co-host with the most. He is Jamie, the Jdog, woof woof Wallace. Mate, I'm going to say this. If we do not get over to Gather Round next year, we are idiots, because that is just an absolute, just awesomeness. I was excited. From Thursday through to Sunday, I could not take my eyes off just how awesome it was.
I totally agree. You cannot find me one review of anybody who's been to Gather Round that said it's a crap week of football, because it appears the exact opposite in terms of like marketing gold. And can I just say, Peps, I think Adelaide is possibly the best host city for these large-scale Australian events. Tour Down Under, the Supercars, and I reckon Gather Round is just another tick to Adelaide in what they do well over there, which is a small but big country town that brings people together and have the resources and infrastructure to make that happen.
Yeah. I think they've already started on the chat. Rocco Tomosi's already gone with the sack Vossi. I can't believe this. They've already started. I think Victoria do the premium events better than anybody. President's Cup, Grand Prix, Australian Open, EDFL Grand Final. But Adelaide, they have got their niche, mate. The Live Golf, they've got the Adelaide 500 in the supercars. They've also got the Gather Round now, and I don't think you can have it anywhere else. I know that there's been talk of moving them everywhere, moving it to different states, etc. I don't think you can, Jamie. I honestly don't think you can. It's the only state that's accessible virtually from anywhere at a reasonable price. Now, the only ones who get stung pretty hard are Queensland, but outside of that, Melbourne can drive. Perth, which is another market, they can drive, or they can fly. Tassie, it's only an hour and a half flight, if that. I think it's just awesome. I just think it's awesome. I think that there's I've been captivated. The Love Machine and the family, they went over, picked me up a beautiful scarf and a beautiful stubby holder, and they just had an absolute ball.
They picked you up a beautiful what? What they get you?
They got me a stubby holder and a scarf.
Yeah,
Gather Round scarf.
Oh,
so
I thought you said a scarf, and I was like, is that a cigar scarf?
Yeah, no, I'm a bit, and They just had an absolute ball. Even my niece, she was just like, we're driving home from Adelaide. I said, do you enjoy yourself? She said, love it. I don't think there's anybody who's come out of it saying it's trash. And just seeing some of the sights about it, like just seeing that oval in the Barossa.
Immaculate.
It's just immense. Now, I could see it in Perth. You know, imagine that Margaret River and playing at Fremantle up the state. Like, you'd have that. I just think it's too far. It is too far. It's too far. It's just too far. So I just think that congratulations to the Adelaide government, the AFL. Like, we bagged the AFL pretty badly on this show for the complete stuff ups that they do virtually on a weekly basis, and we'll get into one shortly. But they got this right. They get this right, and good on them for all the success that they have. Here was my question before we get into the usuals, because we're on this topic. The NRL have Magic Round. Okay. And they've also got their Las Vegas thing. When I asked Narelle, my wife, I said, which one would have more impact? Gather Round or the Las Vegas? And she's like, well, no one will be talking about Las Vegas after the game is finished or anything along those lines. Gather Round, we're still talking about it. It's finished. It's immaculate. It is absolutely awesome. And I think it's awesome. Now, Magic Round, the big difference is that they play every game at the one stadium. Yep, he's back. I just kept going.
Knows?
No. But I'll just say, Jamie, I know you just dropped out and I didn't realise. I just thought you were just playing, statues there for a moment. Has Gather Round eclipsed the Magic Round in the NRL now?
I don't think it was ever a competition. I think from day dot, the AFL one was instantly a bigger success. Instantly.
Can I just highlight something to you? I've got I've got something just to show up on the screen. I think this puts it in perspective. Have a look at this. This was the stats of everybody who went to the gather round games. So we had 269,506 people attend matches across the states. Across the locations. Now, the smallest crowds were both at the Norwood Stadium, because it is quite small, and the Barossa Stadium as well too, which was North versus Gold Coast. That's not going to get a big crowd, but they still got almost 9,500 there. Same for the Western Bulldogs Brisbane game. There was not 9,200 there. There was 9,200 at the Saints GWS game, but it's a smaller stadium, so you got to accommodate for that. But they've almost packed that out to the point that there were people on scoreboards, like trying to see over the fences. It was just amazing, just how many people. It was, 50,000 on a Thursday, 47 on the Friday, 41,000 Saturday, 45,000 Saturday night, and then Sunday night, your game, which we'll get into, 47. I can't say, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The family have gone, can we go next year? It's just, it's captured the football public by storm, and Adelaide is sitting back going, awesome. And I think that the way it was presented, the way it was rolled out, we can be jealous, but I think we can be proud of just how awesome they did it. They could have screwed the pooch, but I think it's just, even the way it's presented at night just looks so much better. And I know I'm a massive AFL Grand Final day person, have been since day dot. When I saw what happened last night with your game against the Hawks, Port Adelaide Hawks, prime time, 47,000 people there and copious amounts of eyeballs. I'm sitting back going, we play every other final at night. I think we can do a night grand final now, because it just looks awesome. It just looks awesome.
Yeah. Go on there. You're liking it.
I just, it just looks awesome. A big crowd at night time, and what they were able to do with the lasers and what they were able to do with the interactions in the crowd was just, love it. Absolutely love it. So I had to show that figure because that is a massive figure. I was trying to get some figures on the Magic Round side of things, but they wouldn't get 269,000 people. They would only get maybe 269 full stop.
Yeah. I got some friends who live in Adelaide, and they said that, and I think this is why I think the Adelaide scene works so well, is because it is such a big town with those facilities. They said that there were just people everywhere in all places. So like in Rundle Mall, they had all the installations, all the AFL installations. In and around the river scene, they had a flying fox. They had all these stalls, like all the sponsors and stuff are all outside of Adelaide Oval. Like, it just works. Like, I know Melbourne has the Grand Prix, but that only really feels busy when you're around Albert Park area. And I know that the tennis is the same. It has a similar buzz in and around the tennis centre.
I think
brought all Adelaide together.
Yeah, I think the city though. Look, it is in one area, but the city does you can feel the Grand Prix in the city. It is people in. Same with tennis. But you're right. When you got that many people in a smaller town and because the football stadium's just across the bridge, it's so close to the city. Yep. It was just an amazing weekend, and it was just awesome. Awesome to see, awesome to watch.
And the timing worked well, Peps. The timing worked well. It was our first weekend of the Victorian school holiday. Sorry, our middle weekend. But it was also Sydney and Adelaide's first weekend of their school holiday. So in terms of getting the kids along and booking family trips and stuff, I think they've just timed it perfectly, and you could just sign, seal, deliver, and do the exact same thing next year, and it'll be another hit.
Yep. And I think the other thing also that you got to take into consideration is that the weather was top. They literally had the perfect weekend, perfect timing, perfect crowds, great games, and just perfect weather. You couldn't have asked for much more. Like, they had great weather. We had great weather here in Melbourne as well too, but they had great weather, and it just when the sun is shining and the birds are singing, mate, everything looks fantastic. Rightio. One thing that is looking fantastic right now, my big bad booty daddy friend, is the ladder. Looking at it, and I've got the right ladder this weekend. The other weekend, last week, if people remember, I had the wrong ladder because I'm just sometimes a putz. But Have a look at this. Brisbane and Gold Coast, both Queensland teams. Tommy Roker on the chat has brought this to my attention, and that's why I've got the salmon on tonight. I'm channeling my inner Gold Coast Suns. Both teams undefeated. Could you honestly say that 5 rounds into a season that both Gold Coast teams would be undefeated? Are you a believer in the Brisbane Lions, Jdog?
Brisbane Lions, yes. Gold Coast Suns holding the cards to my chest at the moment.
Okay, well, they're 1 game inside the 8. This time last year, they were like 2 games, not even close. So they're doing everything. They're doing everything in their power, and they've got a great percentage as well too. GWS sitting on 16, Collingwood on 16, Hawthorn on 16. First loss of the year. I really want to hear your opinion on Port Adelaide and just how magnificent that was. Yes, Jdog is struggling to sit down. That's how excited he was. Geelong just keep doing what they're doing. Adelaide Crows, look, they should have won that. 5 goals up and snuffed it. Fremantle did what they had to do. St Kilda, just outside on percentage. And the Sydney Swans are a game out, but they're still sitting on 103%. So they're going all right. They're just a game behind. It's okay. Then you've got Port Adelaide, Western Bulldogs, Essendon on 8 points. Carlton gets their first win of the year. North Melbourne and Richmond on 4. And sitting 17th are my boys, the Melbourne Demons. And last but not least, the Wet Toast Eagles on 0 points and 49.7%. Thoughts, Jamie? What do you think of the top 8? How set do you think that top 8 is, looking at it right now?
Not set at all, but I do want to acknowledge there are a couple of teams in here which are playing well above where we probably thought. Gold Coast Suns probably won there. Way better than what I probably thought this year coming into it. The Giants sitting at 3rd and 4 wins. I probably didn't have them that high this early on in the season. Adelaide Crows, you and I both had them outside the 8. We haven't had Nick Sears probably like one of the first coaches.
Did I have them out? Or did I have them in? I thought I had them in.
Yeah, no, you had them out. No, you had them out.
Oh, okay.
We both had Nick Sears probably one of the first coaches to go this season.
Oh no! I had Goodwin. Don't you worry about that, mate. I had Judman in there first and foremost. So yeah, yep.
And then Fremantle, Fremantle, St Kilda, probably the biggest surprises out of here. Like they're equal on points at the moment, but I think that's a good surprise.
Look, I think my big surprise at the moment is Gold Coast, just for the simple fact that we thought it would come, but they've done everything right, and they talk about the draw that they've had and the teams that they've played. I get all that. But in previous years, they'd win one and then drop the next. And I think they've played 4 games. I think they've only played 1 game. I could be right here at their home location. They beat the D's, they beat the Eagles, and they beat North on the weekend. Yeah, I know that we're talking at cellar dweller teams, but they could win on the road. Now they've got 3 wins out of their 4.
Yeah, so and a monster percentage, 168, and they've played 4 games, and that's including 1 point victory the other week. So that's a monster. It's a monster.
And that's as good as a game, a bonus game or 2 in percentage as well. So they're doing everything right. So this will set them up, and as they move into the back end, it's just going to be able to maintain that as well too. Fremantle, I think they're starting to get a bit of their mojo. I was a little bit worried about them early on, but they're starting to pick it up a bit. Adelaide, like I said, they should have won that. 5 goals up. They should have won that one. Geelong have surprised me a little bit, but I'm still a little bit concerned about them. And even though Collingwood is sitting on 4 wins,
4 and 1,
still not convinced. I'm still not convinced. And the reason why I'm not convinced is I know it's a broken record. I've said it I said it last year and I'll say it this year. They've got the oldest list. That will catch up with them. It happened with Schultz. Even though it was one of the younger ones. Houston wasn't there. They also had another one. Once again, Sidebottom gets injured. If they start, especially in the colder months, that's when I can start to see things going a little bit backward. But they're doing everything they possibly can by banking those wins early on.
Peps,
yep.
To back up your point, to be fair to what you're saying, Colin, because everyone's going, people are probably sitting there listening to us tonight going, what are you talking about, Collingwood? They lost to the Giants by 50 points. Then they've beaten Port Adelaide. Then they got over the Western Bulldogs, beat Carlton by 20 points, and then beat Sydney. All those other teams are outside the 8. Yep. So to back up what you're saying, they've had wins against the lower sides. So I guess what you're saying is founded there, Peps.
But isn't it interesting though? Because everybody's been, and I shouldn't say everybody, I'm wrong, but the people who like to cause a bit of, glass half empty would say the same thing about Gold Coast. They haven't beaten anybody, etc. But they won't say that about Collingwood. But you look at the quality of the teams that they've beaten, not really much to write home about. So let's see them go up against the Brisbane.
Adelaide was their best win of the season.
Yep, certainly was. Let's have a quick look at the results from the weekend as well too, because there were some absolute crackers here. Right, Adelaide versus Geelong. Like I said, Adelaide should have won this game. We know what happened. They just fell asleep. Geelong are the team that they're like the Terminator. Even when you think that you've crushed them, they're dead. They've got one arm. They've got half a leg missing. They're still crawling. They're still fighting. They're still scrounging around. And they got a great win against Adelaide. At one stage, that forward line was just humming. Like Fogarty was on fire. Thilthorpe was on fire. Tex was doing Texy things. But just by having a couple out, like Rochelle didn't play on the weekend, it meant somebody else had to fall into the role that he was playing. And it just has that cascading effect. And I reckon if he was in, it could have been a bit of a difference in that result. I don't think Geelong could have played any better. And I think Adelaide, they just didn't get it right. But we spoke about this guy last week against the D's. He just came out and done it again, Dangerfield.
Just prime time.
Like, is he going to go... They were talking about it on 360 tonight, the fact that he could go ahead and do what Lee Matthews did. When Lee Matthews went down forward, his career just skyrocketed and kicked bags, like proper bags. There's no reason why Danger can't kick 2, 3, 4s and 5s against the lower end teams, because he's just so strong overhead. He's so strong at ground level, hard to tackle, and you've just got to watch him because he does things that not many other key forwards can actually do. He's almost becoming more important than Jeremy Cameron. 12 months ago, I wouldn't have said that.
Both kicked 4 goals on the weekend.
Yeah, but I think Dangers was a lot more sexier, a lot more impactful at the time. Like, he kicked them when they really needed them. I think Cameron got a couple of junk time ones, but he did also get a couple when it was starting to heat up a little bit as well too. So between the two of them, 8 goals. You can't ask much more from two guys in their 30s, especially one who's 35, Danger? 35? 36?
Yeah, he'd be that. But I think, like, if you were an Adelaide supporter, it must be sad just watching Danger. Like, I know Danger left Adelaide and nothing they could do. He was going back to play with his home, Mog Creek, all that. You know the narrative,
yep.
AFL supporters. But, like, just seeing primetime Danger, just going, we wish we kept him.
Do you know the thing is, Jdog, also, and I wanted to bring this up. I said there was something else I wanted to address a moment ago. So, Bailey Smith cops a $1,000 fine for giving the double birds, right? First of all, The AFL, like, is that what you should be spending your time on? I think there's a lot of other things that are worse than a couple of double birds to the crowd. But apparently what was being said to the players or said to Danger by the person who he said it was just disgusting, beyond belief. And I was there a couple of weeks ago when Melbourne lost to North, and I saw one supporter teeing off, like there was stuff being said that I had to take a few steps back because I didn't want to be seen near this person. That's just how it's embarrassing. So for the supporters who do that, imagine players coming into your workspace and just teeing off on you left, right, and center. I can understand why he did it, and it's just people sometimes need to have a good hard look at themselves and the way that they treat people, but also the way that they treat, the way that they have an impression of themselves. It didn't sit right with me. And like I said, some of the reports coming out of what this person said to Danger was, you wouldn't repeat it to anybody.
Yeah. Fair point. Fair point. But I'm Bailey Smith, another 35 possession game. Just whatevs.
He's just
right. Just whatever.
And I don't think he's humming either. Mind you, 35 possessions these days. We've had this conversation before. 35 possessions is not what it was 20 years ago, where 30 was like the holy grail. There's a lot of junk time possessions as well too. And one of them's a junk stat. I'll give you a junk stat later on and what it means, and you'll just completely piss yourself because it's one of the ones that they go on a hell of a lot. But then when you hear what they market it as or what it's actually coming up against in terms of the criteria, you go, is that it? And then we'll go through some examples. And a stat is not a stat anymore. There is a lot of stat padding, like Angel Reese in the WNBA. Collingwood beat Sydney. Like I said,
yes,
Collingwood.
On the Friday.
Yes.
Friday at Adelaide Oval.
Yep. Wasn't a bad game, I must admit. I thought Sydney, jeez. They've got too many out at the moment, haven't they, Sydney? They've just got too many of their elites out at the moment. Papley is a big loss down forward. Not having Mills running through the middle is another loss as well too. They've just got a few of them that they just can't. And I think there's been a bit of a tweak in the way that they're playing, and they just haven't been able to get that, that linkage up, that connection from back to mid to forward just yet. It's going to take some time. I'm not concerned about them, but I would like to see them be another, they want to win a couple in the next couple of weeks, couple in the next 3 weeks to move up a little bit. Just give me a bit of hope, because the top 8, I reckon, is going to jump away a lot quicker this year than it did last year. I reckon that'll get locked in, because there's a lot, like it was said on AFL 3, on the couch tonight, there's a lot more teams who are in contention for the wooden spoon that are in for the 8.
Yeah. Look, to me, this game here just didn't ever really feel close. Like, I know Sydney got within 10 points in the second quarter, but it just felt like Collingwood had them at an arm's length all match.
Yep. North Melbourne defeated by Gold Coast. Look, this was actually a pretty good back and forth game until halfway through the third quarter, and then North do what North do, and Gold Coast put the foot down, 21-15. That last quarter and a half was outrageous, and it was, I think they had 13 goal kickers. Ben King, like he did what he had to do, and he was just unbelievable in the way that he played as well.
It could have been much more damaging. Well, like to give you a
was
jump.
A bit of this, Jdog.
Bags. We love it when they're kicking. Bags. It's gotta be 6 a month.
Like, just bags. Like, there was Ben King had a day out. When they're playing, they are immense. Rowell, Noah Anderson, Took, Miller, Witsy.
So
they're
probably they've held on 7 goals, 5 in that final quarter.
12 shots.
7-5.
Yep. And I reckon there would have been a couple that were shots that didn't even make it. Like, they were just, it was like, who's next? It's who's next? And North were just nothing in that back end of that quarter. So the usual story about North is, they take 1 step forward and they take 1 step back, and then they take 2 steps forward and then they go 2 steps back.
Can I just check something, Peps?
Yep.
Did you play bags for Ben King's 5?
Yeah, I think I got that wrong.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got that wrong. Yep. So I did get that wrong.
Someone to go early with the bags.
I've gone a bit early with bags, because I know which games I need to bag it up for, and I got it wrong. That's embarrassing.
So Ben King is... Ben King is still going at 4 goals a game, which is a good return for a forward. After all the shit we've given him.
Yep. I think we've given... But you know what? In his defence, he's now got a stronger midfield. It's amazing you get 2 people to run off half-back and Rioli and Noble, and just how it opens things up. Now he's got proper supply coming in. This could be the year. Just hopefully he doesn't break down. Who didn't...
I just saw a photo of Caleb Daniel. Have you seen a photo of Caleb Daniel before?
On a footy card.
Without his helmet on?
No, it's not a good look.
No, he's quite a handsome chap.
Oh, okay, no.
I
thought when I saw him on a footy card, that was a full-size photo.
He's quite a handsome chap without the helmet on, Caleb Daniel.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, Jdog. Whatever floats your boat. Carlton beaten West Coast. Carlton got their first win. It was against West Coast. It gets you 4 points. It gets you some percentage. That's pretty much it. Not really much else you could do with that.
I don't know what to say with this game. We probably expected it. I think we're all death riding Carlton just because of the Blue Baggers' support, or the lack of support towards Vossi. They're probably still angry now, but
Yep.
I think we kind of got what we were thinking, weren't we?
Yeah, but I think that was shooting fish in a barrel. Like West Coast are a deplorable team. They're deplorable, really deplorable.
And when Corey Durden's kicking 4 goals a game, it's not great.
Exactly right. Western Bulldogs versus Brisbane. Was this game? Has this been? I reckon they've already had a couple of them so far this year. But was this game of the year for you?
No, but it felt closer than the score.
Yeah. Brisbane did kick away in the back half. I think they kicked 7 of the last 8 goals or something along those lines. But
yeah.
The Doggies, they get themselves in these winning positions, but they were up by 40-odd points, and they shouldn't have let them back in. But you can
40
never
points
stop.
in the third quarter, Peps.
And it's almost what GWS did to Brisbane last year in the finals. Now, Western Bulldogs have done it. It's almost like the Western Bulldogs loved that thinner ground because it didn't give them the opportunity for Brisbane to spread the ground. We know that Brisbane like to use their kicking skills to open up the ground. The thinner ground at Norwood Oval doesn't allow you to do that. And so the Dogs were able just to... Yep.
I'm glad you said that. I thought that Norwood... I always in my head, Norwood was a much bigger ground than what it was, but it looked tiny,
Yeah, it is
didn't
tiny.
it? With
It's
the
a tiny
grandstand
ground.
by the
Yep.
side.
It's a tiny ground.
It looked tiny.
If anyone's ever played in the Eastern District Football League, there's a team called West Coburg. Their wings are straight lines.
This almost looked like a soccer pitch.
It is, and
corners.
it's literally like 2 soccer pitches with goals at each end. Norwood's a little bit like that. It's very thin, straight down the lines, and they don't have any width. And the Doggies love that because it allowed them just to run. They love to use their chain handball. They love to connect, move it forward at any opportunity that they can. And it also allowed them to squeeze Brisbane where they weren't able to move the ball and have that opportunity to kick. But Brisbane, Brisbane do what they have to do. They just got the ball going. We're much maligned on this podcast. We know Eric Hipwood. He's come out and kicked 5 in the second half. Like, if you're allowing Eric Hipwood, he's not exactly, the greatest forward out there. I think there'd be at least 10 in front of him. So if the Bulldogs were allowing him to kick 5 in the second half, and he was the one who saved them from losing, a lot of questions to be asked from the midfield perspective. Why did it go backwards? But also Brisbane, you just never count them out. They've just always got so much to offer. They were just good on them.
Seven goals, 4 in that final quarter.
In heat. That's the other
brutal
thing. It's brutal heat. It was brutal football, and that's the thing. The teams are so fit these days, you can't give them a sniff. How many teams have we seen come back from 30, 40 points this year alone already? Unbelievable.
Yeah. But I think what you said before sort of hits the nail on the head. Like, Bulldogs have found themselves in many games in winning positions, and they just seem to go down by a couple of goals.
Yep. Putrid.
This one's obviously a belting, but they had a 40-point lead against the reigning premiers.
They should have shut them out. And without Treloar, without Waitman, without the Bont, they still couldn't do it. So you can look glass half full, glass half empty. If you're up by 40 points, look, the less said about this game, the most. I pretty much said enough on my rant. If you had an opportunity to see my rant on Saturday night, head over to the Chris Pepper Facebook page, and you'll be able to see that. Or the Lace Out TikTok page. Melbourne beaten by Essendon. It was deplorable. You're kicking 2 goals and a half. You're not even going to win a soccer match kicking 2 goals and a half. That's how bad they were. I don't care if you say that they've got 15, what do they call 15 premiership players on that list. They're just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I can't, Peps. I went through the stats. I went through Big Footy. I went through so many things about this game to try and find just a ray of sunshine for you, just a little bit. There's just nothing there. Like, Jai Menzies went and kicked 4 goals on your defense. Your forward lines are putrid. Like, there is nothing positive I have to say other than I hope your brother had a good night at the game.
He was
after
blind.
The game. Like,
He
I
was
don't know what to say.
blind. He had like 8 pots before the game had even started. He had a ball. He just could not say how awesome it was. And he went to your game as well too. And he's bought a Port Adelaide scarf. He was on board. He reckons it was just the Port Adelaide supporters were getting. Oh, I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, everything that could go wrong, they can't have any connection. They don't know how to lead into the forward. Interesting point came out of on the couch tonight, and it was brought up by, I think it was Geordie Lewis. He said that you have a look at the teams that have got their forward structure working really well at the moment. Geelong, they've got a forward general. Their general is either Danger or Cameron. All right. Adelaide, Tex Walker, Thilthorpe, Fogarty. They've got somebody who controls and everyone sort of plays off that. You have a look at Gold Coast. Ben King would be like, just what you need to do, get out of my way sort of thing. Melbourne don't have anyone in that stock. They don't have the David Schwartz that David needs that says, get the hell out of my way, or go over there, or stay at my feet, or get some connection. They don't have that at the moment. So there's trust factors all over the place. And yeah, they got major issues. Look, Jdog, we play Fremantle this week. We will lose. We'll go 0-6. The week after, on the 24th, we play Richmond at the MCG Anzac Eve. And then we play West Coast. If Melbourne lose to Richmond, I think that's it for Goodwin. If we lose to Richmond or West Coast, that's going to be it for him. Regardless, I think at the end of the season, he will be gone.
I think that's a fair comment, Peps.
Yep. I just can't see them getting any better. They're just not going to get better.
What's his? Do you know? And I don't want to talk into the Melbourne D's podcast, but do you know what his contract status is? The year to run or something like that.
He finishes at the end of next year, but they can pay him out 12 months. And I think you have to pay him out 12 months. There's going to be a hell of a lot of change at the end of the year. You can see, this is what's going to happen. And we'll move on to the other games really quickly in a moment, but there'll be a new CEO, a new president, a new coach, a new football director, and new assistants. They're going to go to Bunnings and go to Old 38 and get the biggest Sasco broom that they could possibly find, and they will sweep everything out of that club. Everything.
You're gonna bring out that video again, are you?
Which one?
The video of you sweeping or going to Bunnings with aisle 7.
No, that was to get the axe. Axe to get. But I could go to aisle 37 and get the broom. We're going to maybe do that one. Richmond versus Fremantle. Look, it wasn't too bad for the first half, and then Fremantle just put the foot down. They were just amazing. The great thing about this game is that Fremantle, they had to do what they had to do, but they did it with a lot of gusto in the back end. Like, they really ramped it up pretty much after halfway through that second quarter. It was getting a bit tight, and they just put the foot down. The youngness of Richmond, it's going to happen. But they're a lot more competitive than Melbourne at the moment. And it also makes it easy when...
Bags, bags, bags. We love it when they're kicking. Bags, bags, bags.
It's got to be good when you kick the right bags. When Tracy's come out and kicked 6 as well too. Like, there was a bit of a bet going on at the start of the year, start of the game by Sportsbet, saying that they were going to have Tracy to kick 6, Brayshaw to have over 30 or 25, and for them to win over 40. That was like they'll start putting something like that together, and all that came true. But he's a beast. Like, he had a day out. An absolute day out. There was just no one who was going to stop him. And then when you got Bolton, you've got a miss down there as well too. Brayshaw, Sarong. They're going along nicely. They're not dominating, but they're doing what they have to. Just bank those wins. St Kilda beaten by the GWS. I thought this would be a little bit tighter. I did pick GWS, but I thought St Kilda would be a little bit better after what they've displayed over the last couple of weeks. But I was completely wrong. Just when you think that this guy is out and he's sort of going a bit backwards in his career, just, going to the twilight of it, Toby Green just comes out and kicks another 5. What can he do?
Toby thing.
Yeah, I know it's just a Toby thing, but they had Hopper doing everything. You know, you've got Tom Green just going through the middle there. You've got Finn Callahan doing everything that he possibly can. They're just
Lockie Ash at
Oh.
defense. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then you got Toby Green kicks 5. You got Hogan down there as well too. You've got Stringer doing his. So they've just got that many options down forward. Hogan's your general. Get out of my way. Stand there. Go do this. That's what I mean. The good teams have them. And then, Jdog, I'm handing this one over to you because it was Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn. But before we start, we had a second bags. And who would have thought it would have been Gunston kicking it? Like, honestly, like he couldn't. Jack Gunston was just immense. He was the only person keeping them in with any chance whatsoever. But I rang you during the game to sort of get your feelings on how this game was rocking on from your perspective. Tell us what you were thinking when at one stage you were 77 points up.
I thought that it was a typical Port Adelaide response. And I say that with in a cynical mindset, not in that, I just love my club. Like a game where, it felt like a premiership. This is what Port Adelaide does. Next week, whoever we play next week, I can't even know. I can't remember who we play next week. We'll drop that game. But let's not forget that the second half of the game was actual dog shit by us. Like, it was terrible. Like, when Hawthorn got within 28 points of us with about 14 minutes to go in the last quarter.
Were you starting to worry?
Look, the luxury is when you have such a big margin. But we just basically, it's not the fact that we probably shut down. We just started to miss shots that we were just snagging everywhere in the first half. And I know that I will not get on this, and I will not say, I will just leave this here. How Port Adelaide went through half a game of football and one team received 12 free kicks and Port Adelaide didn't get their free kick until that fourth quarter is
Did they not get a free?
laughable.
Did they not get a free kick until
the fourth quarter. So from the half time until then, up until that, it was 12 zip free kicks in the second half.
Which is interesting because normally when you're first to the ball, you would be getting more free kicks. 2 highs, in the backs, those sort of things.
Look,
Yeah,
we won, but
fascinating.
that is, I find that whole part interesting. Not that there's no fix in place, there's nothing like that, but it's just one of those things.
A couple of things to come off the chat as well. Craig Jones from the Portress. I love footy again. Rocco Tomasi.
Can I just say,
Rocco
can I say a
Tomasi.
couple of things?
Rocco Tomasi. Simple as this. Extend Ken.
Look, to beat Hawthorn, I don't think anyone in the AFL world felt like we did. I don't think we upset anyone because Hawthorn are just they're big heads. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is, supporters. Hawthorn have big heads, and to deflate their egos when their club was looking at 70-odd points down at halftime, that felt pretty good. And I think the Australian public of AFL felt pretty good with that moment.
Well, once again, I'm still extremely pissed that Ken still got a $20,000 fine for his antics. And then on the weekend, the AFL are promoting what's going to happen between the Hawks and Port. It's really petty from my perspective to think that happens. That they would go ahead and promote this, but then they find the guy 12 months ago. And what did he do? He didn't do anything that was disrespectful. He didn't do anything that was, bringing the game into disrepute. Nothing was going to happen. So don't get me started that, I could have broken out into a brawl or... Like, what was more offensive? Bailey Smith giving the double bird or Kenny doing the plane?
Well, I kind of think when I was looking at the crowds last night doing the plane, that reminisced me of the old marshmallows or the old bomber jackets.
Marshmallows, bomber jackets. Yep. Every week now it's going to be this. When they play, not that look like a penguin.
Port Adelaide rivalries, it's there.
It's there.
A couple of things. It will break my heart to see Zachy Butters leave Port Adelaide if he decides to go.
Yep.
because at the end of the game, I think there's footage somewhere, like he just goes full on psycho eyes when the siren goes. And Zach Butters is immense. We know that Jason Horn-Francis is he's
on my picture back there. Horny
good.
Balls is on my picture back there. He plays with shirt tucked in, socks
you know
up.
how I was upset with Houston leaving Port Adelaide off the halfback line, going to Collingwood. I was going, this is going to be really hard for us.
Yep.
Leave Rosie back there.
God.
Like Rosie is not the inside mid. That he's classy, he's polished, but he's not the inside mid.
Yep.
Leave him in the halfback line because he was absolutely immense last night. He was contested marking everything, setting it up, lovely kicks, and then putting through 2 goals himself. Like that, what else can you get from a captain?
You know the thing is, J-Dog, like you guys were on you were on point. Asava Radaglia was he was clunking everything. He couldn't catch a cold most times. He was really good for you. Really good. Yeah. 2 times, just like the two of them just worked last night. Ollie Lord, I can understand why clubs are after this guy because he has got potential. He's a bigger unit, can kick a goal. And Willie Rioli, like he's just stuck it up him, and he's had his opinion on Facebook, Instagram as well too about he doesn't like the club, not the players. He just does not like the club for what they did to his dad and what they did to his uncle. So there is spite between these two teams, and from a Hawthorn perspective, I blame the AFL media for calling these guys the Hollywood Hawks and, the mosquito fleet at forwards and blowing smoke up the Wizard. He's not the Wizard. He hasn't done anything.
Nothing.
Ginnivan did absolutely nothing. Moore was probably the best one out of the lot. And when your 35-year-old Gunston is still kicking 6, you've got issues down there. And Sicily, you would never play him down back anymore. He's too much of a liability. I call my son Fitty because he does everything at 50%. That's how slow he walks. That's how slow he does everything. Sicily should change his number to Fitty because he gives one away at least every week. He's a liability down there. He's a great backman, but he's too much of a liability to give away a stupid 50. Get under his skin, lock it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably did miss Will Day, but they got James Warple back in. So it's kind of like, I know Day's a better player than Warple, but Warple still add a lot to that midfield for Hawthorn.
Yep.
Overall, though, very, very, very happy with the Port Adelaide team. And I think Craig Jones has said on the chat there as well. Rosie did win a premiership off the half-back line. So maybe that's where you leave him.
Just, mate, if it works, it works. And there's our review of the massive round of Gather Round in there in Adelaide. I loved it. And it's going to be strange going back to the normal setup of games for this weekend as well. Jdog, can I say that I am sick and tired of stats now? I know we use them in our podcast, and I know they're on shows. That's what we measure everything by these days. But if I hear Jamie Wallace got another 36 contested possessions, do you know how much of a farce that is? Do you know what the definition? What do you think the definition of a contested possession is?
Possession with heat on you.
Okay, that's what you think it is. You're going to laugh when you hear this. All right, you ready? This is from Champion Data. A contested possession is a possession which has been won when the ball is in dispute. Now, this is exactly the next line. Includes loose ball gets, hard ball gets, contested marks, or gathers from a hit out and freeze for.
I like everything except for a couple of those.
So if you've got a loose ball get, unless someone's on your hammer, you could get that someone maybe a couple of meters
Yeah,
behind you. That's a
I don't
contested
mind that.
position. I don't. I
Think
think
about like the ball bounces off someone's shin or something like that. It just dribbles out. You pick it up on the run through. That's fine. That's contested to me. You're in pressure.
Yep. You're happy
I
with
don't
that
think
one?
they're talking about. I don't think they're talking about just the ball rolling 60 meters, trundle kick down the line, and just comes to bounce up onto you. I think they're talking more about that spill, that ball spill. I think. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. I just find that staggering. That's
Free kicks is interesting.
yeah. So if you get a free kick,
okay, yeah.
and that's a contested possession.
Yeah. Interesting. I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying with the definitions and how champion data do it, but that for me is one of the only objective measures you can see for like a player having a crack. A lot of that, a player having a crack per position. So like your midfielders, like you want them to get a reasonably high contested possession, maybe a half back line or your back line as well. But I'd still use that as a pretty fancy stat for me. I'm happy with that one.
But even if you look at like
You reckon it's worth nothing?
Not if you get a loose ball and there's someone 2 meters away from you.
So you want a tighter definition?
Well, I just think that contested possession is you and somebody else, like within like body on body, and someone gets the contested mark. That's what a contested mark is: body on body stuff. It's not.
Yep. I hear.
Yep. And even like pressure acts, some of the, have a look at pressure acts, by the way. Some of the examples of pressure acts are an absolute farce as well, too. Like corralling.
Yeah, read that. What's the pressure act?
I'll give you a pressure act implied reducing an opponent's decision-making time without physical contact via corralling, closing space, or chasing from behind. That's an implied pressure act.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yep.
I would have thought like effectively smothering with something like that would be a pressure act.
No, that's a 1%er. See, do you know what I mean? Like it's almost like we're making, and when they say they've had 20 pressure acts, that could be 20 people closing space on someone, so they have to make a decision where they get the ball. Like that's it. I just find it.
Stats for everyone, Peps. Stats for
there
everyone.
is just so many here that just would blow your mind. Even something like a kicking efficiency. Or an effective long kick. Here we go, ready? An effective long kick. A kick of more than 40 meters to a 50-50 contest or better for the team. So you don't even have to kick it and your teammate get it, as long as you've kicked it 40 meters to either a one-on-one or forward. That's an effective kick.
Has Melbourne got one effective kick this season?
We had 3 on 1.
I
think we had 57 effective kicks into the forward line on the weekend.
You couldn't have.
No, they were all effective based on what that says, because they were all to a 50-50 contest. They were to a 30. I think at one stage our efficiency was 7%. But it's interesting. Have a look at the champion data. I might leave a link in the show notes for this one, because it's it'll give you all the glossary options and tells you exactly what it's all about as well too. So yeah. Rightio. Jdog, a couple of questions for you. Jdog's got the Suns colours going in the background.
Whatever it is, but yes, yeah.
Sicily is a nothing player. Interesting. Rosie won that premiership under Carr with Sweet as the ruck. They are the Bollywood Hawks by Craigie Jones. Baby Suns, FTW. I think you can figure out what FTW stands for. So everybody's on the chat. Thank you very much, because lots of great stuff coming.
There was a stat there by Sub1 who's reading about the Suns have won something more like blah 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 50% of something of 8 games than 80% of the list of the last 5 years or something like that. Can you find that stat there, Peps?
Oh,
it was in the chat.
Rocco Tomasi will be on that one big time. He'll be able to tell us.
Oh, it was amazing. It was a great stat.
Before we wrap this bad boy up, let's have a look at the games for this week. Round 6 of the AFL. Thursday night, Brisbane versus Collingwood. Crikey. Banger. North Melbourne versus Carlton.
Another one.
That could be a potential banger. Friday night, Anzac Good Friday games. So if you can... by the way, Good Friday, Royal Children's Hospital appeal. Just, if you can, give that they may grow. That would be awesome if you could just donate a couple of bucks there.
I love this, Peps. For so long, the AFL were adamant we're not having Good Friday games. Now Friday. We've got a double banger on a Friday.
And it does support
3:20 game and a 6:10 game.
I was about to say West Coast versus Essendon, the jacket waving marshmallows game. That could be imagine West Coast win that. Melbourne versus Fremantle. There's your first shocker for the weekend. I'll probably end up going. Adelaide GWS. Wow, I reckon this is going to tell you more about. Well, can GWS win on the road against a decent team, and can Adelaide beat a decent team? That's a cracker to watch, and it's a twilight game, which is nice. Richmond Gold Coast at Marvel, the traditional venue for these two teams. I wouldn't be surprised if Gold Coast win this by at least 50 points. Gold Coast on a fast deck. Strap yourselves in, ladies. Sydney Port Adelaide, that'll be a corker. Like exactly what you said. Are Port Adelaide going to be able to come back and just do it for 1 week? Are they just going to do it for Kenny this week and then next week?
Oh my God! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
Are they going to do that? Western Bulldogs versus St Kilda at Marvel. That is going to be the sleeper game of the weekend. A graveyard shift again, Jdog. Marvel Stadium, 7:20 p.m. Could you ask for anything more, those two? The Bont should be back as well too this week.
You got Monday off, remember?
No, you don't, because you got Geelong versus Hawthorn. The traditional Easter Monday
being the 7:20.
No, it's just
There's
just it reminds me of Smash Hits 94, mate. Just bangers. Every track was a banger. Virtually every game here was a banger.
This is a good round.
It's a good
the
round.
Rivalries that I think the Cats Hawthorn. I think this could be the ignition of another generation of rivalry games.
And you know what?
I've got a feeling.
Make it even better, Jdog. Strap yourself in. On Sunday is night 1 of WrestleMania. Monday, night 2. It is the greatest weekend of sports and sports entertainment. And we've just had the Masters as well too, where Rory McIlroy almost screwed the pooch and then happened to win in the playoff. It's a great time to be alive.
Is John Cena wrestling? Is The Rock wrestling?
Yes, it's John Cena's retirement coming up this week. Yep. The Rock is going to be there. It's the biggest night in sports entertainment. ×2. It's going to be awesome. Strap yourselves in. Can't wait for it. Anything you'd like to go through, Jdog, before we wrap this one up?
No, I can't think if there's any particular tribunal cases or anything to talk about. I think the games are actually pretty well umpired overall. Yep. And yeah, this week it's just a little the games are great. So. Yep. I am excited for this weekend.
I am. One last thing. Sorry. Yep, keep going.
No, sorry, you go.
One last thing. I always mention this and I totally forgot it, is Archie Roberts is this week's the Gather Round Rising Star nominee after he starred for the Bombers against Melbourne. Crikey, the water boy could have got votes this week. That's how bad we were. Playing his 8th game, 28 disposals, 8 marks, 6 tackles in the 39-point win at Adelaide Oval. So congratulations to you, Archie Roberts. You join the likes of Levi Ashcroft, Harvey Langford, Connor O'Sullivan, Sam Laylor as well, to be so far nominated for a Rising Star in 2025. So congratulations, young man.
Just a couple of things I peps off the chat here.
Yep.
Just random sports talk.
Yep.
Gout going 2 sub-10s.
Did you see he's running the 200?
Yeah, what was that, a 19-2?
Mate, how good is sport? We've got Aaliyah. We've got Gout.
It's great. WrestleMania. Last night, we just come out of Holy Week for cycling, which is like Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix. Last night we had Matthew Van Der Poel beat Tadej Pogacar. Yep. Like, it's just epic.
The Australian,
epic sport. So,
the Australian Academy team, under 18 Academy team, played the Richmond VFL team yesterday. My mate's son, Cooper Duff Titler, played in that game. He is an absolute gun. Looks like he might go hopefully top 5 in the draft. They didn't get the win, but it was boys playing against men, but they had a massive crack. It's just football.
PS3 won the Formula 1.
Where's the tissues, Jdog? That's how good this weekend was.
It's just great. It was a great Sun. I had a great Sunday night. It was a very late night for me because I watched the Port game into Paris-Roubaix cycling into Formula 1 Bahrain. So I probably didn't get to bed till stupid hours.
Yep.
But I had a wonderful Sunday, but I'm paying for it right now.
Yep.
So I'm happy to go to
And,
bed.
and just go and have a look at the highlights of the Masters. If you don't like golf, it doesn't matter. Just watch the highlights because it will blow your mind how good these guys are. They are just absolutely amazing. And you know who also is amazing? Our listeners, our viewers, the people who join us every single week, because this was the Gather Round review hosted by the great Jamie Wallace and myself, Chris Pepper. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And more importantly, I'll have my tips for this weekend. I think I had 5 last week. Wasn't the greatest. Hopefully I can strike back because I had 15 out of 16 tips over the last couple of weeks. So I'm in good form, but last week I couldn't gather up the wins in Gather Round. Jamie, just going to ask you the magic question, my friend. How do you like your Tour de France?
I like it tubeless and lace out.
So do I, big fella. Have a great weekend, all. Stay tuned from our tips. We'll be back next Monday night, and I hope your team wins. See you, listeners.
See you, listeners. Oh, headphones as well, listeners. How
Oh,
about
yeah,
that?